What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Netflix on Raw podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, we are going to be breaking down the Royal Rumble, just some quick thoughts on the Royal Rumble. Then, of course, the Monday Night Raw after the Royal Rumble. Obviously, each and every week, it is on Netflix, which has been a great transition. It's been a great time for Dom and I because we both kind of got back into the world of professional wrestling by talking about it weekly right here on the Drive-In Podcast Network. As I said, I'm joined by my podcast partner here, my good friend, Mr. Dom Fisher. How are you, man?
Finally, Dom and Ricky are back on the podcast. Yeah, man. It's this is fun. It's I can only speak for myself. I know Ricky is in a similar situation, but as you start building a family, growing, and all these things, you kind of fall away from some of the things you enjoyed, and then luckily, professional wrestling, since it is all year long and it's been going on since we were kids, it is easy to kind of pick back up. You go, you know what? I've seen these clips online. I've caught it on TV. Let me get back into it, and it's still some of the same faces. So yeah, this has been really fun to do, and especially because we get to go next week here in Nashville.
Yeah,
It's great.
shout out to our friends over at Netflix. We got invited to go check out Raw in Nashville, which should be exciting. We know for sure that we're going to see Logan Paul in action this Monday night. Logan Paul is going to be in action again. We'll talk about with who in a little while, but I'm actually low key kind of excited about that just because I'm looking forward to see Logan Paul in action. You know what I mean? I think that'd be pretty cool to watch. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Shout out to again our friends over at Netflix for inviting Dom and I over. Be sure to check out our Instagram pages as we will post all over about our time there. And then, of course, the following day, we'll be back right here like we are every Tuesday night talking about what we watched. And then, of course, a little bit of a bonus part of that episode is we'll be reviewing and recapping it from Raw itself. So, we are inching closer and closer to the Elimination Chamber, which was kind of a forefront of this. It was like a mix of post Royal Rumble goodies, followed by also some Elimination Chamber action. Just kind of a quick rundown of what happened on the card. Obviously, we'll talk about our Royal Rumble thoughts in a second, but we had Jey Uso, Penta versus Ludwig. Charlotte Flair came out and talked about her W. The New Day versus LWO, Liv Morgan versus Io Sky, Seth Rollins promo, and then Sami Zayn versus CM Punk. But to quickly recap the Royal Rumble, we had a tag team match, which it was Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin versus the other guys, and I forget their name off the top of my head right now. I don't remember. It was a tag match.
It was what is I can't think of their names now.
I know, right?
And I have it down here.
Tag team match. Who was that?
Oh no, I don't.
Also, it was a DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, so real quick, I just want to pitch this idea. Okay. WWE, you're more than welcome to take this idea as long as you invite Dom and I to the next Royal Rumble. All right. So I feel like the Royal Rumble should be a one night only thing where all the matches are just Royal Rumbles. Okay. So I have this idea. You have the men's Royal Rumble already. You have the women's Royal Rumble already, right? And you have enough people on both of these rosters, right? I think you make a third Royal Rumble and you make it a tag team Royal Rumble for the winner of the Royal Rumble gets a shot at the tag team titles at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? The last person standing, him and their tag team partner, they get a shot at the tag team titles at WrestleMania. I think that this.
Yeah, that works because we saw the three-fall match, which that tag title was. So if you made that a Rumble, even if you didn't, if you make it a Rumble, you also make it a Rumble/Lumberjack match. So once they get thrown out, they stay around the ring, and because I haven't seen a Lumberjack match in so long, and that used to be one of my favorite things to see, because you really get to kind of see, along with the Rumble itself as well, but you really get to kind of see like where the allegiances lie without it being part of a storyline. And then later on you see it.
Yeah, and there's enough guys on the roster where you can literally just make it, and then you can even have like a little bit of a, um, you can maybe even have like an overlap. You know what I mean? You have like a guy or two that's like on the fence that doesn't really have a tag team partner that he
Yep.
just wants to be in the Royal Tag Team Royal Rumble because he wants to, something's cooking. I don't know. I just think it's an idea. Call me WWE, man. Like I said, next year, because the thing about it is these Royal Rumbles are what, like, 45, 50, 60 hour half long. You know what I mean? Just do 3 Royal Rumbles, call it a day. Fans will love it. You know what I mean? And then
Yep.
get an unnecessary tag match that nobody really liked. You know what I mean? I will say Rhodes and Owens was a banger. You know what I mean? It was a
Yeah.
pretty good match. It was, man, that finish.
Yeah, it felt like back to the days of like the Attitude Era. And I know I bring that up a
Yeah.
lot, but I feel like when we talk about a lot of different things, you go like hip hop, the 90s, the golden era. Well, the golden era of wrestling to me was the Attitude Era. The 90s to the mid 2000s. And that they were really putting their bodies on the line. I mean, some of those slams, I mean, geez, like I mean, right away, right through the side of the ladder, getting cut on the back, getting slammed through a ladder. Like it was a good match.
Yeah, and then of course we had our 2 Royal Rumble winners. We had Charlotte for the second time win the Women's Royal Rumble, and then of course a surprise of all surprises. It's been the talk of the internet for a couple days, and we'll dive more into that after we talk about Raw a little bit. But Jey Uso surprised and shocks the world with the big win. You know what I mean? We saw a moment where Roman Reigns and Punk and Rollins, everybody kind of got thrown out in this like 1, 2, 3 scenario here, and then Rollins done, I think, almost murdered Roman Reigns. You know what I mean? But Dom, your thoughts on Charlotte and then the Jey Uso winning?
Well, I think Charlotte is she's a good wrestler. I've just never been a huge fan. I definitely wasn't like a fan of like this comeback to someone who like she was clearly still hurt a little bit, like or at least ginger on her leg. And I've had a knee injury, and I know how she feels. So I don't think that was the right time to like give her this main event and possibly another like title run when you have someone like Alexa Bliss come back and got a big pop, and she that could have been your person leading the way. And but I think that that, like I said, we said before, the women's roster is deep, and there was a lot of talent in there, and they were all showing out. And so a lot of them there can be a case made for a bunch of them. As far as
Yeah.
Jay, I love Jay. Like that dude, every time he comes out, I literally I'm smiling. I'm like, yo, like the energy and the charisma and like the kind of I don't even know how to describe it all the way, but this kind of everyman superstar thing he's doing, it works perfectly. It's
It
hard not
really
to root for the
does.
guy. Like it's hard not to root. And we called it. Sammy got the boot by mistake. So yeah, I like the way it turned out. I do like I really like that they are allowing Penta to kind of do his thing. Like
Yeah, I agree with that as
um
well.
yeah, like I mean, he's not like, and it's not a gimmick either. Like, you could easily say like it's a gimmicky or whatever. But he's beating ass right now.
Yeah, and for those of you at home watching here, let me go ahead and play this little clip for you guys, where Seth Rollins murdered a man. Look at this. Look at this. Ooh. Oh, well,
Ah,
fuck. He 2 foot curb stomp. Let me get that one more time. One more time. Look at the 2 foot curb. Oh, yeah.
yeah, when
And then
that
just went.
happened, I jumped out of my seat and I was like, hold on. Did we just see like Roman get his dome split open? That's like
Man,
that.
that was tough. That was tough to watch. But yeah, overall Rumble was all right. I didn't mind it. I like the men's. I was a little bit disappointed we didn't see like more surprises, more surprise entrances. I
Yeah,
think it
yeah. I
was
don't know
because they were
who.
building up they built up the guy, the fact that it was like such this big ordeal for so many weeks. You know what I mean? It's like the biggest
Yeah,
Royal Rumble with the biggest names for so long. I don't think they wanted to take away from that. So yeah.
I mean, we do got to mention poor I Show Speed, man. I
Oh
do
my
like the
god, dude.
I do like the way that they were like, Speed, you got to go out there. And he's like, what? You got to go out there. And he's like, what do you mean? And he got the hardest spear I've ever seen. And, of course, he probably weighs like $120 or less.
Yeah, for
But
those of you at home, I'm finna
geez.
show everybody at home. You didn't see this, man. This shows like multiple angles of it. Look, hang on. Let me rewind this a little bit. You got it on the screen, right? Yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I showed speed. I loved it because again, that's the one thing about being a former wrestler. Hold, let's watch this real quick. Man, he took watch this.
He like a tackling
Man.
dummy. Oh my god.
That angle's tough right there.
Anybody,
yeah, man, that was
anybody who's like wrestling is fake. All right, bet. Go take that spear.
oh slow motion right here. Look at that. Yeah, man, that's the one thing, man. That's one thing I was telling Dom. Talked a little bit about it the other night when we were podcasting, but that's the one thing, man. When you step into the world of professional wrestling and you are a celebrity or anything like that, we're gonna make you remember why you got in that ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I Show Speed was a trooper. He sold better than half the guys I see in wrestling business right now. He sold that all the way to the back. Much. I mean, he probably was really a little shook up too, but
And he got
it
tossed
ain't
out.
easy.
And Otis
Yeah.
tossed him over the table. What happened to his ankle? Like his skin was all peeled off. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know. I didn't see that. But yeah, so it was definitely an interesting Royal Rumble. We opened up Monday Night Raw with what we expected we would open up with Jey Uso. Him redoing the handshake with Michael Cole was hilarious. And it's crazy. You know what I mean? I say this a little bit. I mean, dude is over like Rover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I cannot understand that people hated this win. Like, if you hated this win, just watch the opening of Raw, man. The crowd ate it up. I loved every minute of it because the dude was struggling to talk. The crowd was chanting, "You deserved it."
Yeah.
It's the same thing like in the movie business. We talk about this with like film criticism and stuff like that. The internet is a hyperbole of actual reality. I can't wait until next week to experience the Jey Uso thing in live. You know what I mean? Because it's crazy, man. When you're watching it, dude is crazy. You know what I mean? And watching him get all kind of choked up at the beginning of this, and that's the reason why he won. He seems like a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's over like Rover, and before he even opened his mouth, you know what I mean? Like, this is a reminder of like how good and how great the sport of wrestling can be. You know what I mean? It really is. Because it's always like, oh, well, you're winning because your name is circled in the back. Yeah. I mean, it's just like the Oscars. You know what I mean? Oh, the Oscars aren't important. And then nomination morning, you see people freaking out about being nominated. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, you work your ass off, and he even talks about it in his promo. He worked his ass off to get here,
Yeah, that's and like I said, I think that's why people like him so much. I mean, he's the guy that that we all feel like sometimes that you've been somewhere, working somewhere, doing something for a long time. You kept your head down, you try to put in the work, and you get overshadowed by people who you felt like, oh, I'm cool with them or I like them, but maybe you're like, when's it gonna be my turn? And eventually you do it long enough and you don't complain about it and it starts to pay off. And this is, it's paying off for him.
Yeah, exactly. Hard work pays off, man. And I did like the little promo here. Got a little emotional, showed the rawness of himself, which I thought was very good here. He kind of struggled. He stumbled over his words a little bit, which I thought was definitely awesome. And then, of course, interrupted by the man that we expected him to be interrupted by, which was Gunther. I loved his opening line. He just tells him, this match doesn't appeal to me. You know what I mean? Like, you can't even lace
Villain
my
all
boots.
the way. All the way, villain.
And I loved it because it's true. You know what I mean? Like, Gunther has his number. So it's like, I don't want to go down this path again with you. You know what I mean? I've already whooped your ass a couple times. Hell, I just whooped your ass like 2 weeks ago or a week ago on Saturday Night Main Event. You know what I mean? So, if he tells him if he picks him, he's going to make his life a living hell. He tells him to, he has options to consider them, obviously insinuating picking Cody. Um, my favorite part of this entire thing was kind of Jay calling out the haters at the same time that, those who doubted him, he should win the Royal Rumble. But I love this. I love this entire moment. Um, I thought the promo was good. Again, Gunther is just fucking money. Like the guy's
Yeah.
money. This is going to be a great build. I don't have a doubt in my mind these two are facing each other, and just the sheer idea that Jey Uso wins at WrestleMania, the crowd's gonna fucking.
Yeah, I definitely think that that Jay is, along with, there's a, you know, when you see like the locker room comes together with certain people, it's like the Avengers, and Jay is definitely an Avenger now. I mean, there's a lot of the locker room wants to see him do good because, like he said, even Gunther's referenced, he's out of the shadow of Roman, his brother, Solo, um, and he's making a name for himself, and we'll finally get to see if that main event in his name is worth him having that title.
Yep. Yep. I agree 100%. Obviously, we found out. I mean, I didn't watch the post press conference. I didn't have a chance to watch the post press conference, but obviously, everybody else has to wrestle for their shot at the Elimination Chamber. But apparently, John Cena just says he can announce that he's in it. But not really much is surprising whenever you're John Cena.
Yeah, he said
Um,
he said that from what I remember, because I watched parts of it, he was saying that he's put in the work, never asked for anything, so he feels that like the work he's put in, he deserves a shot. And Triple H or Paul, whichever one you want to call him now, he was like he can pick whatever he wants to do.
okay, that
So
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
So, and then of course, whoever Jay doesn't pick will face Cody Rhodes at the World. Well, I mean, obviously, if he's still champion by the Elimination Chamber. Our first match of the night, our first of like 4 matches, I think it was. If that was 4, was there 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4. It looks like I think that's the number. I think it's like the sweet
yeah,
spot. I think right now, but
yeah,
I don't love it. But we'll digress here. But we had Penta versus Ludwig, which was kind of built up from the Royal Rumble. They had a little exchange in the Royal Rumble. I didn't mind that.
Kaiser lasted like 6 seconds in the Rumble.
Exactly. So, I don't know if I loved how they talked about the elimination, but they did not bring up the fact that Penta's feet both touched the ground. I don't know if you
Yeah,
noticed that when he was thrown over the top and he would like flew back in or what, did the Shawn
yeah.
Michaels back into the ring. Both of his feet touched the ground. Both
Yeah.
of them did. They didn't bring that up, obviously, but um, Penta won. To keep pushing him on, obviously, and then of course Pete Dunne obviously is going to be the next on the radar. It looks like they're just running people through. I think this is going to build to probably Penta versus Chad Gable, at Mania, where he's going to try to finally beat him. He's going to collect his Infinity Stones of luchadors that he can try to beat him. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean it's a little match.
I'm here for that though. I
Yeah, it's
love
hilarious.
this little Chad Gable side quest type of thing where he's just like, I gotta go learn the dark arts of lucha libre. Like I love it because like he is such a like Kurt Angle. He's fun to hate because he doesn't really, and I think that's what it is. There's certain wrestlers are fun to hate because they don't care if you hate them, right?
Yeah,
Hating
yeah.
Jey Uso, you just look like a hater because there's nothing to hate about the guy besides that he's
Mm.
getting popular. But but Chad, he's whiny, he's like offensive, he thinks that he deserves things, but he's bringing that onto himself, so it makes the hate fun, and especially because he gets the raw end of the deal all the time. So this whole little side quest with him and I guess Dom or whoever else he's training with, it's hilarious to see. But he's a legit threat as a wrestler, so it will be interesting to see because I mean, Penta took some beating a little bit from Kaiser, so he's gonna have problems in the next couple weeks.
For sure. And then, of course, this led up to our second of what was expected victory laps. Charlotte comes out, and of course, she's hated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, she had a couple good one-liners. You know what I mean? The either you boo me or woo me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is
And I
what it
couldn't
is.
tell how much it was really affecting her. I think she expected a warmer welcome because she's been gone for a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seemed like she was getting choked up for real. Like, this kind of hurt her feelings a little bit. And then she had to kind of regain that, like, no, fuck that. I'm Charlotte Flair. Like,
Yeah,
get out of
yeah, shit.
here.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, um, you know, Rhea Ripley comes out, as champion. They fought twice at WrestleMania now. Obviously, the last time Ripley got the best of her. I mean, I thought this was fine. I thought it served the purpose. They have a history together. Um, Charlotte kind of teases who she's going to pick at WrestleMania. She said she's still open to pick. She jokingly said that she might pick Gilia or whatever her name is from NXT, and I thought that was
Yeah.
funny as hell. I don't know. These two have faced each other like twice at WrestleMania, so like it almost feels like it's a rubber match between the two. You know what I mean? Because they've each won
Yeah.
one, so I feel like it's almost inevitable. But
I
I hope
do
not.
think I know. I do think what they possibly kind of set up, which could be interesting, is the fact that Rhea was like, "I was a kid back then," and then she was like, "You're still a kid, and that's why you came out too early. You jumped the gun," and Rhea like pleaded, like, "Pick me," and maybe you get this kind of unraveling of Rhea because she feels like she respects Charlotte so much that if she doesn't get picked, she'll kind of unravel, and you could see this kind of destructive Rhea. So it could be interesting, possibly.
I agree with that. And then of course our next match was the New Day versus the LWO. The New Day end up getting the win. They finally got a win.
And they got new intro, new
Yep.
song,
New
new
song, new
uniforms.
intro. Yeah, so they look good. Obviously, I mean, this served one purpose and one person only. Logan Paul comes out, gets booed in his hometown, which was funny. The Logan gives a helping hand here, gets them the win, and we find out that next week in Nashville, we're gonna get Ray versus Logan for a spot in the Elimination Chamber. One thing, I Ray versus Logan Paul, like that's what we're getting for who gets to be in the Elimination Chamber. Like we already know who's gonna win, but
Yeah.
still should be a good match though, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw again another feat of athleticism by Logan at the Rumble by him jumping onto the announcer table to avoid being put out and then finding his way back to the ring. So, as much as you um could dislike Logan, um for one, we have to recognize he's a good ass wrestler. Um Athletic as hell. And he is a good bad guy. He plays up that part perfectly. There's nothing more irritating than a person you dislike coming out and then sitting there drinking their drink that's all over the fucking place, looking at you, taunting you. Like, it's one of those ones where you like Chad, you love to hate him, but you can't deny like he's good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Um, of course, and then so again, like a lot of the matches tonight, if you look at it, Penta's match was to put Penta into that next phase. New Day's match was more to put Logan Paul on the map to get Logan Paul out there to set up his match with Ray, and then Liv Morgan versus Io Sky happens. Pre-match they jumped Io Sky there. After some interferences from Rocco Rodriguez, Rhea Ripley comes out and starts attacking Rodriguez, and then Ripley struck Liv Morgan, and the ref called for the bell, disqualifying Io, which means Liv Morgan won the match. Which I actually like this finish here because it doesn't take away from
Yeah.
Io, while also developing more of a storyline. I do think that this could set up a Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky match, and
Yeah.
I'm fucking here
Yeah,
for
because
that.
and it's crazy. Like, I know Damage Control to me essentially seems like they're not even really together anymore. It's essentially, the remnants with Bailey, being by herself, and the EO being like the one everybody wants to see, because I feel like Dakota, I feel like she's still hurt as well. The knee injuries are hard to come back to, especially in this sport. But yeah, I mean, Io's a good ass wrestler, and she took it to, like, she was beating. I know Rio's like, I came to help you. She was beating the hell out of Liv. Liv was like getting tossed around, her lips busted. She took a knee to the face. It was Raquel that was the problem. It wasn't that Io needed help like with Liv. I thought it was. I thought that was probably. I was probably the best match of the night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you know it's easy to, if you're casually watching wrestling, that or just see it online, that, oh, Liv is just there for being pretty, Io just there for being pretty. Io's known for like being one of the best like female wrestlers in the world, like came out of Japan. And Liv has proven herself time and time again that despite Raquel being there to help or Dom being there to help, she can wrestle her ass off too. It just happens that a lot of times she was trying to go against Rhea, who is twice her size.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I thought that match was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, I love the finish because it doesn't take anything away from either wrestler. It allows Liv to get like a chicken shit win, you know what I mean? Which is her MO. And then, of course, Io. I think this could set
Yep.
up maybe elimination
Yep.
chamber match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And I'm here for it because Io Sky is a badass. So I would love that.
Yeah.
AJ Styles is coming to Raw. He'll be at in Nashville next week, which isn't much of a surprise, bringing him to Nashville, giving his old TNA roots. He wrestled here forever.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the founding guys of TNA and stuff like that. Braun Breaker wants to talk to Adam Pearce about the IC title. I don't really know where this is going to go or who he's going to face, but it just isn't my cup of tea, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think as much as they talk about Jay, Braun needs a partner. He needs someone like, there needs to be some kind of like
I
synergy
don't understand
with
how he's
another
like a
person.
good guy.
I know. I know. I think maybe he's in that weird like stone cold role where it's like he's not really like for or with anybody. I don't know who you potentially pair him with, but I do think he would benefit from a partner, even if it's not like, not necessarily a tag partner, but just like some kind of team faction type of thing. And I know, there is a lot of these factions and whatnot, but he just needs somebody to bounce the energy off of, because the solo thing is just, with him, it doesn't completely go over for me as well. And then
Yeah.
maybe it's just because he got here so quick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I
clearly he
mean,
has the athletic ability, but he got to this point so quick where it's like there was no kind of beef developed. Just wasn't a lot there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's like, all right, yeah, what are we doing with the Intercontinental title? Because it's like I don't really know what we're doing. Because who can you really theoretically put this guy against at the end of the day? You know what I mean? So that's my
Yeah,
big issue.
Shinsuke probably, but he's got a. I think
He's the
he's got
champion
the
of the other
title too.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I
I
guess you can
mean,
maybe do
Penta.
is do AJ Styles with him. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense. It's going to depend on what AJ Styles comes back as. Is he going to be a baby face? You know what I mean? If he does, then
yeah.
that narrows that out. I mean, Penta's a good guy. We got something going on with him. There's not really a whole lot of guys left that aren't going to
I
make
mean,
work. Cause like,
honestly, I think you could take. I mean, with okay, so I feel like there's only so long that you can go after the big titles, right? I feel like if you're somebody like Seth Rollins, you go, you know what? It may not be my time right now for the world championship. I'm gonna
yeah,
go dominate everybody else. So you go and say, "Hey, Braun, I see everything you've been doing. I'm about to take this shit because I'm Seth freaking Rollins, right? And he goes and takes that title, and then he's like, I'm coming for all the title. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because I feel like if anybody can do it, that's a good Seth run right there. To him just like, I'm gonna mow down everybody and show you why I deserve the title shot again.
Yeah, I agree. Something's got to give. Somebody's got to. We got to see somebody come to. Because I mean, obviously, after the main event, we see in a minute. We'll talk about it in a second. But we already have like kind of another match kind of set up from this that kind of highlights maybe where we're going at WrestleMania, which I'm not sure I'm 100% a fan of here. But Seth Rollins comes out. Somebody said he comes out looking like the Undertaker, which I about died laughing.
Carmen San Diego meets the Undertaker.
This was fine. It was what it was. He tries to make Roman Reigns the bad guy, blah 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 blah. I don't know what purpose it served other than him just coming out to just say that, you know, Roman Reigns is Roman Reigns. And then of course we have Sami Zayn versus CM Punk. To me, this was probably one of the better matches I've seen Punk from matches from Punk I've seen in a while. And I think a lot of that has to do with Sami Zayn is very good in the ring too. So he kind of raised and elevated that a little bit. So this was a solid, good match. We're continuing to see this kind of quote unquote downfall of Sami Zayn, who's struggling to win any matches or do anything of substance. So that kind of continued that whole entire situation. But what did you think of Sami versus Punk?
I think even before that, I want to know what's going on with this, which it looks like they're setting it up. The little carry on cross thing where he just keeps popping up out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, you're over there celebrating somebody else again. When are you gonna do your own thing?" And because I just started rewatching Dave, and Sammy gives me Lil Dicky energy, like big time. They sound alike. They kind of act similar. It's very funny to me. But no, I thought. I mean, like you said, the match I thought was great, and it just I don't know why this is starting to take place. Where we had Sammy on this great run of like, yo, he's getting so close. He's getting so close to him starting to get his ass beat. Like, damn. Yeah, and I'm over Punk, man. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like, dude. Never. I ain't gonna say I've never been a fan because I got the appeal, but like,
It's not where it was before.
yeah,
Like his appeal was there, but now he's very much corporate Cena, and it's kind of annoying.
And I really, I actually talked about this today with somebody. I feel like there's one issue, but that you don't have true villains, right? The closest one is like Jacob Fatu, and he's here sparingly, but like there's not that many like figures who are like, man, I hate this guy, and he just run like, you know, we used to have Undertaker and Kane running around, we had Brock Lesnar running around, we had Batista, we had, you know, Stone Cold at certain points, we had the Brood, we had Nation of Domination, we had all these different guys or these and teams, DX, where they were like, these are like there's a bunch of bad guys, and this, and I remember I can't remember what moment it was, but there was one time where you had all kind of the bad guys, and then all the baby faces of the WWE or WWF at the time, all facing off against each other, and it's like, because there was a line divided, you could tell who is who, but like you said earlier, like you can't tell. Some of like Braun, is he supposed to be the baby face? Is he here? I don't know. So we need like clear cut. Yo, he's a fucking bad guy. Yo, that's a good guy. And if you're gonna make them bad, you can be a villain and be likable still. And I know that's what they're possibly afraid of. But hell, we all love DX because there was this kind of like rambunctious energy, but them just doing like, you know, anarchist shit, and it was like, it's fucking cool, even though they're doing bad shit. And clearly they're the bad. They're coming out, they're spray painting people, interrupting matches that had nothing to do with them because they want to take over the show. And I think they have to get back to that, because everybody's too likable. Everybody's too likable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I'm struggling with the same. I feel like we're getting to this path of the same redundancy with like the same 5 or 6 faces on every episode of Raw right now. And I understand there's only so much time in the episode. There's only so much time on the show, but like the one thing that's always consistently delivering right now is the ladies matches. The women's matches are delivering. I mean, I think this was it the tag match last week or the week before that. Like that was a great banger. Like
Oh yeah,
we've had like of the 5 episodes, I think the women's matches like have been like the MVP of the night. 2 of the 3. Well, wasn't night one because they didn't have like really any women's match on that
right.
show. But but like we're having two. It's just Punk, Sammy, Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Rollins. Like Drew McIntyre's nowhere to be found tonight. I know
Right.
there was a whole ordeal around that. Apparently, LA Knight screwed up the whole finish because it's supposed to like set up Drew McIntyre versus oh man, what is that? What's your boy's name? Oh man, he was with Ripley.
Oh, Damian Priest.
Yeah, so it's supposed to like set something up between them, and it got like messed up in the Royal Rumble because LA
Uh,
Knight tried to do something. It doesn't really surprise me because LA Knight sucks. Um,
yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean. So I can't
yeah.
stand that dude.
I want Damian to go full. I mean, he already has like the dark appeal. I mean, he came from Judgment Day. Like he's like Puerto Rican Undertaker. I need him to go full like scorched earth and like I'm taking out fucking everybody. You're one of the biggest fucking dudes there. Let them know you're
Hey,
the
let
biggest
him
fucking
go.
dude
Let
there.
him go heel and take on Braun Breaker.
Yes,
I don't
please.
think the
Like
matches will be very good, but
just let him destroy. I mean, we saw what he could do, when he went against Finn. I think that was a showcase. Like, he can be the guy. Let him fucking run rampant, and he's like just taking out everybody because I'm big. That's the whole thing about that. Was part of the appeal when we grew up. Like, you had like Undertaker. I'm bigger than you, and I'm scary, right? Kane, I'm bigger than you, and I'm scary. Stone Cold, I may not be as big as you, but I'm mean as fuck and I'll beat your ass. The Rock, I'll talk shit to you and then beat your like I need like we need that guy. Somebody's gotta be like, I'm gonna be that dude. Um because Seth is good at like the kind of like just maniacal, like he's like a villain in the background type of guy, but he doesn't like besides the Roman shit, never doesn't really go full like full tilt, but like let somebody be the new guy. Let Damien let I mean if you're gonna have Jacob be that guy, just let him fucking I mean they're slowly doing it. Let him go full like I'm just the wild fucking dude. Get fucking Braun Strowman in more than just a t-shirt and in some kind of outfit to where he is actually a monster of all monsters. Like let him fucking you know what I mean? Like shit.
yeah, exactly.
I need some theatrics.
Happen like let's see here. I just want to see something real quick.
Like we need a I know it's scary. We need to, where the buried alive matches at. You know what I'm saying? Where the hardcore matches at. I know it's different times, but like I think people can evolve again. We can get back to, full chaos.
Take something. I'm trying to.
Because
Yeah, I'm trying to see.
the
Let's see.
the
Chelsea.
current
Go ahead.
fans, they're us. We grew up watching ECW, WCW, WWE. Like we've seen TNA, like all these different things. We know what was once done and can be done again.
Yeah, for sure. Why was Liv Morgan SmackDown this week? Last week.
I've noticed like there's rosters, but I feel like they kind of just send people kind of wherever they want to.
Andrade versus The Miz. LA Knight, Damian Priest versus Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu. That sounds like a barn burn of war. Yeah. I don't know, man. This week's episode was I don't know. It was more lows than highs for me, especially bouncing back. The only thing that I really loved, I mean, obviously, I love the Jey Uso stuff. I love that quite a bit. Kami Penta's continued strong outlook, and then the Liv Morgan Io Sky stuff was pretty good too. And I just don't care to see Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn again. I just don't care. Like that match has happened 400,000 times. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Any parting thoughts on this week's Raw?
Um, nah, I think I've said mostly everything, man. We look, level up the theatrics, man. That's what we need. We need the fights in the grocery stores. We need the in the hospital getting hit with the bedpan. We need the pulling up with the monster truck, spraying people with beer. We need the theatrics again. Like that's what made the show pop. It was the extra stuff. Um, and I mean, y'all got the money for it, man. Like, go ahead, Paul, Dwayne. Y'all fork it out and do some get creative, take a chance, because the people I think are ready for some the craziness again. We need that era again. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't know if you call it Attitude Reborn. I don't know if you call it. I don't know what you call it, but I think you need to up the theatrics a little bit. We and make it and if go back, um go full soap opera again, where we get like full like these talking things and things happening and you know bring that shit back, man. And I think that they'll see a better return on their product.
Yeah, I uh I agree 100%. I look forward to seeing next week. Obviously, we will be in person at Raw next week, so we'll be bringing you next week's episode with some special Yeaton. But I'm excited about it. Should be a great time. I'd be excited to talk about it. Make sure to give us a like, comment, subscribe here over. And if you're not listening on the podcast platforms, we're available there as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning to another episode of the Netflix on Raw podcast. We'll be back next week.
Yeet.